This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
You're listening to the Pretend You're Fired Today podcast. And now, here's your host, Lisa Rangel.
Welcome. Hello. Welcome to the 6th episode of the Pretend You're Fired Today podcast. I am Lisa Rangel, host of the Pretend You're Fired Today podcast and the founder of Chameleon Resumes. We are an executive resume writing and job search consultancy firm that helps executives and rising leaders land their next position faster. I'm excited to be here with you today, and we're going to show you how to avoid resume mistakes, which can affect your personal marketing efforts to maintain job security in today's economy. In the past episodes, we talked about the only way you can truly protect yourself from job loss is to pretend you're fired today. Pretend you're fired today and make a list of activities you would do to start finding your next job and start doing them while you're working. Always having this list in the works, having your resume ready, your profile done, your network primed. This is the best path to always be working, have career continuity, and not have gaps between employment. In episode 1, the first thing on that list is dusting off that resume, getting it up to speed. The last few episodes, we looked at how to format your resume according to today's trends and how to find the right keywords to put into your resume so you catch the attention of your network, recruiters, and hiring managers. Today, we're going to show you the resume writing mistakes to avoid so you can outshine your competition and always be that candidate that gets the exploratory interview call. So let's get to this. Now, not knowing how to format a resume can easily cost you that exploratory interview call. And simply put, at this stage in the game, in your career, you should have a killer resume ready to go. But there's so much confusion out there as to what a killer resume looks like that even experienced professionals and executives fumble. So I'm going to walk you through some key mistakes that I see people make, and you're going to want to avoid these key mistakes by following these 5 tips that we're going to go over today. And this way you're going to be ahead of the game and ahead of your competition. So here goes. The first mistake to avoid is to use a photo on your resume. So basically, don't use a photo. Unless you're seeking a job as a model or applying for a position outside of the United States, which can sometimes request a photo on the document, the bottom line is don't use a photo. It's not wise to give anyone in a decision-making role the opportunity to judge you prematurely based on appearances. And on the opposite end of it, you can have the best photo in the world, but if the HR person or the hiring manager doesn't necessarily like it, unfortunately, you may not get a call. Whether it's right or wrong, sometimes it's just human nature. Many HR departments, as a result, will automatically trash resumes with photos in an effort to avoid any chance of preference or discrimination. They don't want that perception. Additionally, images can actually choke the resume scanning software that companies use to receive and organize resumes. So in other words, if you send a resume with a picture, the HR department may not ever receive it because the system couldn't scan it. So for this reason too, you should also avoid a photo. The second mistake that many people make is they don't have a title on their resume. You must include a title. Sending a resume for a high-level position without a title may cost you an exploratory interview call or the actual interview call. The reason being is you're failing to give the person glancing at your resume any idea of what job you were targeting or what you were looking for. You're leaving it up to them to decide where you fit in their company, and they may not take the time to do that, or it may not be clear to them. You can fix this problem by using a descriptive title at the top of your resume. In prior episodes, you heard me call this prime resume real estate. For instance, if you simply state accounting or you don't have a title up top and it's vague, your accounting-driven resume can refer to any position within the accounting department if you're not clear. Instead, you should write a title at the top: Chief Financial Officer, Accounts Receivable Manager. These are some examples of specific titles that you would either be targeting, or if it's the next level you're going for, it shows the next level that you're targeting. The same concept can be applied to the number of positions across departments, whether you're in marketing or you're in technology. The key is to tell the reader exactly what you do and what you're targeting in a quick manner. And I have a great example on how to format the title on your resume. If you go to resumecheatsheet.com, you will find a viable, real-life resume example that landed interviews and has the title formatted in the manner I'm discussing. So check that out at resumecheatsheet.com. The third mistake that I see often is people forget numbers and measurement on their resume. So don't forget the measurement. They tell the story. One of the best ways to show you're right for the job is to prove it. You can prove it on your resume by using quantitative examples of your accomplishments. The best tactic to produce an achievement on your resume is for every job description, task, or bullet on your resume. I want you to do this. I want you to ask yourself 2 questions. For each bullet on your resume, ask yourself, how did I do a good job? And follow up with, and what did that good job look like? Therein lies the root of your achievement. Another way to come up with a measurable achievement for your resume is to ask yourself one of these 4 questions. How did you make your company money? How did you save the company money? How did you streamline the process of a particular initiative or the workflow within your department? Or how did you contribute to the culture of your organization? This line of thinking gets you to numbers and results in your resume, and this is what sets you apart from your competition because you're describing how well you did that particular task or area of responsibility as opposed to just saying you did it. Some other examples of questions you can ask yourself depending on your discipline or your industry is, were you in the top 1% of salespeople in the organization if you were in sales? Or if you were more in operations, did you make suggestions that increased the productivity of your team? And what did that look like? What was saved? What was the before and after as a result of your efforts? Did you save the company money? Did you suggest a cost-saving initiative? What was the cost savings? These are all stellar examples that allow you to use numbers and measurement. You can also use percentages, and it proves your ability to produce results for that potential employer. The fourth mistake that I see is using an outdated format. Like the one from the College Career Center, the resume from the College Career Center, but now you got like 15, 20, 25 years experience and you've just been adding to that resume every so often, but you still have the same format. It's outdated. I mean, even 5 years out of school, if you have 5 years of experience outside of college, it's still an outdated format to use that College Career Center format when you are an experienced professional or executive. You want to use a contemporary format that commands the salary and the level of expertise that you want in your next job. You don't use a college level resume format for a senior level job. Times change and companies want forward-thinking leaders who will take their brand seriously and take it to the next level, because if you take yourself seriously into the next level, they can believe you will take your organization, if they choose to hire you and you choose to join them, that you'll take their organization to the next level as well. One surefire way to get your resume trashed is to submit it in an outdated format. One way to start gravitating towards a contemporary format is get rid of that objective section. Objectives tell an employer what you want in a job, and I'm going to be blunt with you. Employers don't particularly care what you want. Instead, they're much more concerned with what you can do for them. So do a summary section up top in that top 1/4 or 1/3 of the resume, again, that prime resume real estate, and outline in a summary what you can do for them, and obviously still honor yourself about what you want, but you need to speak in a language that speaks to what the potential employer needs. And you can find a contemporary resume layout on resumecheatsheet.com where you can download one of my samples to see what I'm talking about here. Lastly, you want to use a lot of verbs. The mistake I see, to put it in a mistake light, is that there's a lot of passive topics. There's not a lot of action on a resume when you're describing your wins. Many people forego the use of verbs on their resume and they speak in tasks or topical items. And it leads to confusion to the reader what it is that you actually did on the job. This is an actual resume bullet that I pulled before resume, and the resume bullet says, management systems for IT department. That's it. That's all it says. I mean, this means anything and nothing all at the same time, right? You can combat this nebulous messaging of what you've been doing from using tasks and shift it to using verbs and action descriptions to what you've done. So you can use the convey action by using action-packed verbs such as lead or led, factor in the tense based on it being a past or present employment experience. You can use words like influenced or pioneered or constructed. This shows that you did more than just manage, but you had clout at your former company or your current company. I'm going to give you an example. Instead of writing that bullet I mentioned a few seconds earlier, management systems for IT department, write something like created the inventory tracking system for the IT department, which resulted in reducing inventory loss by 14%. You see the difference there? The second one conveys action. context, and a result. So that's what you want to do. Now that you're armed to avoid mistakes when writing your resume, I'm going to say bravo to you for writing this resume before you need it. And if you're currently not working, don't worry. You now know what to do, and today you can start taking the steps to making your resume stronger. So let's take action on today's episode. If you haven't already, go to resumecheatsheet.com, download the sample that I have there for you to use, and I want you to start comparing your resume to the sample. What do you have that's similar? What do you notice is missing on yours? This is where you can start to make a difference. So again, download the resume cheat sheet at resumecheatsheet.com. I want you to also have this ready for the next episode, where I'm going to show you how to structure a strong resume for the healthcare, finance, and marketing professions. And remember, for the next few episodes of the Pretend You're Fired Today podcast, we're going to go through a list of tactics and activities that you can do now, as if you were let go today, to ensure you are always ready for whatever the world brings your way. My friend saved me with her priceless advice of Pretend You're Fired Today, and I'm paying it forward with you. And I ask you to pay this sentiment forward and share this with as many executives and rising professionals who you feel would benefit from this build it before you need it advice. To get a jump on the first item of the Pretend You're Fired Today activity list, which is get your resume ready, again, go to resumecheatsheet.com, download the freebie there on how to write your resume easily, and we're going to tackle the next steps on tailoring your resume for marketing, finance, or healthcare roles in the next episode. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today, and I look forward to your progress and catching up with you next week. Take care.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.